Welcome the anointed ones. There comes a moment when the universe stops warning people about you and starts correcting them for you. From the outside, it looks like coincidence. From the spiritual realm, it's correction season. Chosen one. This isn't just karma unfolding. It's a full-scale cosmic audit, and everyone who poked, prodded, provoked, or played with your spirit is suddenly remembering they could have just minded their business. Funny how life works. The same people who once acted bold enough to narrate your downfall are now whispering your name like it's a horror movie title. And somehow, they're both the villain and the terrified audience. What's happening around you isn't random. Not one bit. Psychologists have a research term called emotional boomerang, meaning the energy someone sends out, especially malicious or manipulative, eventually snaps back and hits them with amplified force. Well, let's just say some folks around you are getting boomeranged so hard they're questioning the meaning of life, gravity, and their Wi-Fi connection. See, people forget something vital. Messing with a chosen one is a contract with consequences. Not because you're perfect, not because you're untouchable, and definitely not because you're out here throwing curses like confetti. No, your protection comes from the fact that your spirit operates under a higher jurisdiction. Your name is registered in realms they didn't even know existed. They thought walking away from you meant they escaped accountability. They thought ignoring their guilt would cancel the invoice. They thought pretending you never mattered would erase the spiritual trail. Meanwhile, the universe was standing there with the paperwork like, "Sign here, we'll handle the rest." The irony? Some of them are experiencing déjà vu of every shady thing they once wished on you, just rewritten with their name in bold letters. And let's be honest, a few of them are so panicked that even their shadows are tired of being around them. People who once called you dramatic are now having entire meltdowns in silence. People who said you're overreacting are now overreacting to their own karma. People who said it's not that deep are now drowning in the very depth they denied. This moment, this shift, is not revenge. It's not retaliation, it's revelation. A cosmic reminder that when you mishandle someone with a divine assignment, the fallout doesn't expire. It matures. So sit back, stay grounded, and breathe. Because the universe is finally giving every character in your story their overdue plot twist. Number 1. Their karma started the moment you stopped explaining yourself. There's a kind of shift that happens when a chosen one finally gets tired of clarifying, defending, and breaking things down for people who were committed to misunderstanding them. It's not loud, it doesn't come with announcements, and it doesn't even feel dramatic. It's quiet. It's simple. It's that moment when you say to yourself, "I don't owe anyone a play-by-play of who I am." And that tiny internal decision becomes the spark that triggers a spiritual domino effect. People who mistreated you depended on your explanations more than you know. Your clarity softened the consequences of their behavior. Your empathy kept them from facing their own patterns. Your willingness to break things down turned their chaos into something manageable. You didn't even realize you were doing damage control for their dysfunction. The moment you stopped explaining yourself, you stopped shielding them from the truth of who they actually are. And that's when everything began catching up to them. Your explanations acted like spiritual bandages over wounds they caused themselves. You were the one stabilizing the situation each time they lied, manipulated, projected, or gaslit. You were the emotional filter that purified their mess before it poisoned their lives. When you stepped back, the filter disappeared. Suddenly, they had to deal with the raw, uncut version of their own behavior, and that's where karma slid in effortlessly. Karma didn't need lightning or explosions to reach them. It simply needed your absence. Without your presence cleaning up what they destroyed, their life started reflecting their real intentions, their hidden motives, and their unresolved issues. The same confusion they tried to dump on you became the confusion they now have to navigate alone. The manipulation they used on you became the tool that backfired on them. The lies they spread about you created cracks in their own credibility. Your silence wasn't weakness. It was a boundary, a verdict, a withdrawal of spiritual support. By walking away from the need to justify yourself, you allowed the universe to step in and handle what was never your responsibility. And for them, that was the moment everything began to fall apart. Number 2, they're learning that tampering with a chosen one isn't reversible. It leaves permanent echoes. When people interfered with your life, they thought it was something they could walk away from whenever they felt like it. They treated their actions as temporary, as if mocking you, betraying you, or trying to sabotage you would fade with time. What they didn't understand is that when someone targets a chosen one, the impact doesn't stay in the moment. It spreads, it echoes, and it follows them long after they pretend to forget what they did. Chosen ones are not regular souls. Your energy is heightened, your purpose is bigger than your environment, and your presence carries weight even when you don't realize it. So when someone harms you out of envy, pride, arrogance, insecurity, or cruelty, they aren't just tampering with a person. They're tampering with a divine assignment. And interference with divine assignments always produces consequences that linger. People are slowly realizing that the things they did to you didn't wash off. They stuck to them. Every lie they told created a fracture in their relationships. Every insult they threw left a stain on their spirit. Every attempt to embarrass you turned into a chain around their own progress. They thought they were being clever or powerful in the moment, but now they're dealing with outcomes that feel strangely familiar to the energy they once sent your way. The universe doesn't let people interfere with chosen ones and walk off clean. It's not revenge, it's alignment. When you are chosen, your energy holds records. Your spirit doesn't beg for justice. It radiates truth that eventually reveals everything done against you. That truth becomes a trail that follows the person who wronged you, showing up in their patterns, their mistakes, their relationships, their losses, and even their sudden streaks of bad luck. What they're experiencing now is the echo of their own actions, not because you wished anything on them, but because what they did was spiritually out of order. And anything out of order eventually returns to its sender. The uncomfortable part for them is that echoes don't fade. They grow louder until the lesson is learned. Number 3, the universe isn't hurting them. It's showing them their own reflection, and they can't stand the view. One of the deepest parts of karma is that it doesn't always punish people with dramatic events or sudden disasters. Sometimes the real consequence is much quieter and far more uncomfortable. The universe simply shows people who they truly are when no one is covering for them anymore. And for the ones who wronged you, that reflection is the very thing they've spent years avoiding. When people mistreated you, they were projecting their own insecurities, fears, and flaws onto you. They tried to make you look like the problem because they couldn't handle the truth about themselves. Your light exposed their darkness without you even trying. Your honesty highlighted their dishonesty. Your loyalty amplified their inconsistency. And instead of facing themselves, they used you as a distraction from the truth hiding inside them. But now that you're no longer available to absorb their issues or cushion their ego, they're left alone with the raw version of themselves. No filters, no excuses, no one to blame. The universe didn't have to hurt them. It just removed you from the equation, and that was enough to uncover the parts of their character they've been running from for years. What feels like karma to them is really the weight of their own behaviors finally catching up. The same traits they accused you of having are now causing problems in their own relationships. The lies they used to twist are now returning to them in ways they can't control. The manipulation they thought they mastered is now tripping them up. Their own personality is becoming their biggest obstacle, and they're beginning to realize that you weren't their enemy. You were the mirror they refused to look into. The hardest part of karma is self-awareness, and they're choking on it. They're seeing the jealousy, the arrogance, the entitlement, the emptiness, the pettiness, the selfishness, all the things they tried to bury. And because they never developed the courage to work on themselves, the universe is now forcing them to confront the truth in the only way that actually works. Through consequences, they're not suffering because the universe is after them. They're suffering because for the first time they can't escape themselves. Number 4. Their downfall isn't because you're blessed. It's because they misused their access. People often think karma strikes because a chosen one is heavily protected or uniquely favored. And while that's true, that's not the real root of their downfall. What truly causes the shift is how they handled the position they were given in your life. Access to someone with your spirit, your insight, your instincts, and your purity is not something everyone deserves. It's a responsibility, not a playground. And when someone abuses that access, they aren't punished because you're chosen. They're punished because they were reckless with a gift they were never spiritually mature enough to handle. When people got close to you, they received things without earning them. Trust, warmth, clarity, patience, comfort, understanding, and emotional safety. You gave them a place to rest, and they decided to vandalize the sanctuary. Instead of valuing your openness, they exploited it. Instead of honoring your presence, they tried to compete with it. Instead of appreciating your heart, they gambled with it like it was replaceable. And the universe doesn't let that slide, not because you're special in an egotistical way, but because their behavior violated spiritual order. Every chosen one is a doorway. You offer people access to better versions of themselves simply by being in their life. Your kindness raises their energy. Your wisdom sharpens their thinking. Your love stabilizes them. Your authenticity calls them higher. So when someone treats that doorway like a doormat, stepping on it, wiping their dirt on it, dragging their unhealed mess across it, they don't just disrespect you. They close the path that could have elevated them. That's where karma enters. Not with theatrics, but with alignment. The universe simply redirects what they mishandled. The blessings they could have touched disappear. The peace they once felt around you becomes unreachable. The opportunities connected to your presence evaporate. Their life begins to reflect how carelessly they treated the access they once had. Their downfall isn't a sign of your superiority. It's a revelation of their irresponsibility. They weren't punished for what they did to you. They were punished for who they became while they had you. Number 5. They weren't fighting you. They were fighting the future you were destined to become. A lot of the people who tried to block you, belittle you, or break you weren't reacting to the version of you standing in front of them. They were reacting to the version of you they felt coming. Even when you were unsure of yourself, they sensed your future confidence. Even when you doubted your path, they sensed your future influence. Even when you were still healing, still learning, still figuring things out, they sensed your future glow up. Their jealousy wasn't about the present. It was a warning from their own spirit about the greatness you were walking toward. Some people have spiritual sensitivity without spiritual maturity. They can't explain it, but they feel when someone carries a destiny bigger than the room, and instead of respecting it, it threatens them. Your growth scared them long before it showed up physically. They didn't need you to succeed for them to panic. The possibility alone was enough. And because they didn't know how to deal with that discomfort, they turned that fear into competition, sabotage, and envy. They weren't trying to stop who you were. They were trying to stop who you were becoming. Deep down, they knew that once you stepped into your real identity, they would lose the ability to control you, manipulate you, outshine you, or define you. People don't attack potential they can't sense. The fact that they came for you was proof of what they saw in you. But here's the part karma is handling now. They tried to interfere with a future that didn't belong to them. They tried to block a destiny they had no access to. They tried to slow down a journey they weren't assigned to understand. And the universe doesn't negotiate with unauthorized interference. Their attempts to stop your growth didn't destroy you, they accelerated you. Every plot, every hateful comment, every attempt to break your spirit became fuel for the very future they feared. Now, karma is turning the mirror around. They're watching the rise they tried to prevent. They're witnessing the elevation they thought they could delay. And the same future they fought is now the proof that they were never fighting you. They were fighting prophecy. Number 6. The same energy they used to tear you down is now working against them with surgical precision. People often think that once they throw negativity your way, once they whisper a rumor, once they plant doubt in someone's mind, it just floats away into nothing. They believe their actions disappear because no one calls them out immediately. But energy doesn't evaporate, it organizes, it records, it waits. Every careless word spoken against you, every attempt to embarrass you, every petty move they made behind closed doors became part of a spiritual file that the universe kept open. Not to punish them on your behalf, but to make sure every seed they planted returns to its rightful owner. When they talked about you, they weren't just expressing opinions, they were setting intentions. And intention carries weight. Intention travels. Intention collects momentum. So while they were busy smirking, gossiping and plotting, what they didn't realize was that they were building a spiritual case against themselves. The universe doesn't operate on hearsay, it operates on vibration, and their vibration was loud. Now the energy they used to tear you down is circling back in ways that feel strangely familiar to them. The relationships they tried to sabotage for you are now falling apart in their own life. The lies they used to make you look unstable are now being believed about them. The games they thought they mastered are turning into traps they can't escape. Karma isn't punishing them randomly, it's using their own tactics as the blueprint. This is why it feels so precise, almost surgical. Karma doesn't overreact or underreact. It matches. It mirrors, it measures. They wanted to damage your reputation. Now their credibility is slipping. They tried to block your opportunities. Now they're running into closed doors. They wanted people to see you as less. Now they're shrinking in rooms where they once felt confident. It's not because the universe is vengeful. It's because energy always returns to its source in the exact form it was sent. If they threw stones at your name, those same stones are now showing up as stumbling blocks in their path. If they tried to dim your light, their own path is getting darker. Every move they made against you wasn't forgotten. It was filed, processed, and returned with absolute accuracy. Number 7. They thought your pain made you weak, not knowing it was recording evidence. A lot of people looked at your pain and assumed it was the perfect time to take advantage, to push a little deeper, to twist the knife, because they believed you were too overwhelmed to notice what they were doing. They mistaken your vulnerability for weakness, your silence for confusion, and your hurt for helplessness. What they didn't understand is that when a chosen one goes through pain, that pain becomes a living record. Every tear, every disappointment, every betrayal becomes spiritual documentation that cannot be erased or rewritten. The universe doesn't ignore suffering, especially when it's caused intentionally. It observes, it catalogues, it gathers every detail the same way a camera collects footage. While they thought you were breaking, you were actually absorbing information about who they truly were. Your spirit was storing the truth they tried to hide. Your endurance was noting their motives. Your heartbreak was memorizing what their smiles were trying to cover. And because pain sharpens a chosen one's discernment, You ended up seeing more clearly in your lowest moments than they did at their highest. People forget that when someone suffers with a pure heart, the universe pays serious attention. Your wounds didn't just hurt, they testified. They held onto the truth of how you were treated, why you were targeted, and how carelessly they handled your trust. And the moment you healed even a little, that testimony transformed into spiritual evidence. Evidence that now plays back in their lives like a reminder they can't shut off. This playback shows up in ways they can't control. The same insensitivity they showed you is now being shown to them by people they thought would never turn. The same disrespect they justified is now hitting them from sources they depended on. The same coldness they dismissed in you is now freezing parts of their life they desperately wanted to keep warm. They thought your pain would vanish once you moved on, but pain doesn't disappear. It shifts, it moves, it circulates. Their behavior was recorded in the moment, and the universe is now pressing play. They're not haunted by you, they're haunted by their own actions, and every consequence they're facing is the echo of what your spirit endured. Number 8, the real karma, is this. They finally realize you were never the problem. They were unprepared for someone like you. For a long time, they made you believe that you were the issue. They implied you were asking for too much, feeling too deeply, seeing too clearly, expecting too honestly. They acted like your standards were impossible, your awareness was exaggerated, and your intuition was inconvenient. But now the mask has slipped, and the truth is settling into their spirit in a way they can't escape. You were never the problem. They simply weren't ready for someone operating on your level. Your presence exposed the parts of them they tried to hide from the world, the parts even they didn't want to admit existed. Your capacity for depth highlighted how shallow their intentions were. Your emotional intelligence made their emotional immaturity obvious. Your truthfulness made their manipulations stand out. Your standards showed how little they demanded from themselves. Being around someone like you forced them to confront the limits of their own character, and instead of rising to meet you, they tried to pull you down to meet them. People don't usually hate what they don't understand. They hate what reveals them. And that's what you did. Without effort, without trying to prove anything. Simply by being who you are, you became a mirror they weren't prepared to face. They reacted with defensiveness, envy, hostility, or avoidance because the reflection they saw in you was too honest. It showed them exactly what they lacked. Now, the karma is internal. It's not about losing opportunities or facing external consequences. It's the emotional discomfort of realizing they pushed away someone who could have elevated them, someone who challenged them to grow, someone who saw more in them than they saw in themselves. They're grieving, not you, but the version of themselves they pretended to be while you were in their life. That performance took energy, and now that you're gone, they no longer have the light to hide their shadows. Their downfall didn't come because you cut them off. It came because being connected to you exposed the truth they refused to handle. And now they're left with the hollow echo of who they wished they were, instead of the person they actually are. Number 9. They didn't just lose you. They lost every blessing attached to you. When people lose access to a chosen one, they think the only thing they're losing is a person. They think they're just walking away from a relationship, a friendship, a bond, or a connection. What they don't realize, at least not until the consequences hit, is that losing you comes with a spiritual shutdown. Your presence wasn't just emotional support. It was alignment. It was clarity. It was protection. It was direction. It was a blessing disguised as an ordinary human being. Chosen ones carry an atmosphere. When you show up in someone's life, things naturally start to shift in their favor. Their thoughts get clearer, their decisions get wiser, their energy feels lighter, and doors start opening that were stuck before. That wasn't luck. That was your presence activating spiritual order around them. Some of them didn't even know why life felt smoother when you were around. They didn't connect the dots. They just enjoyed the benefits without understanding the source. But when they mishandled you, when they lied, betrayed, mocked, manipulated, or underestimated you, they didn't just hurt your feelings. They disconnected themselves from the spiritual ecosystem that existed through you. The peace you carried was no longer buffering their chaos. The intuition you naturally shared was no longer guiding their choices. The covering you unknowingly provided was no longer shielding them from situations that were waiting to collapse. Your absence created a vacuum in their life, and everything that your presence kept in balance suddenly shifted out of place. Their relationships feel heavier because you brought emotional grounding. Their plans fall apart because you carried divine timing. Their opportunities dry up because your energy opened doors they couldn't open alone. Their mind gets noisy because your spirit created clarity they didn't realize they'd grown dependent on. This is why their life often turns into a desert after you leave. It's not a curse, it's not revenge, it's the natural result of removing the source of alignment they didn't honor. You were the rain that made things grow, and when they mishandled you, they stepped out of the climate that kept their life flourishing. They didn't just lose you. They lost the version of themselves they could only become in your presence. And that loss hits harder than they ever expected. Number 10. Their karma is customized, not to hurt them, but to reveal them. Karma doesn't strike randomly, it mirrors intention. The universe studies the architecture of someone's wrongdoing the way a master craftsman studies blueprints, every angle, every motive, every hidden agenda. And then it returns the lesson in the exact emotional language they used to harm you. When someone violates a chosen one, the universe doesn't just punish them, it exposes the frameworks they've been hiding behind. If they tried to stain your name, karma lets their own shadows climb the walls of their reputation until people finally see the truth they once hid behind your light. If they tried to disrupt your peace, karma doesn't send chaos. It removes their artificial sense of control, so they're forced to sit in the same disorder they tried to impose on you. If they played with your emotions, karma places them in situations where they finally meet someone with their exact tendencies, and suddenly they understand the emotional homelessness they once caused you to feel. Karma for the chosen one doesn't arrive as vengeance. It arrives as a curriculum, a deeply personalized lesson designed to reveal to them the version of themselves they avoided confronting. This is why it's so precise, so poetic, so unmistakably tailored. The universe doesn't balance scales, it calibrates souls. And the moment they encounter their own behavior coming back at them with perfect symmetry, they realize the truth. They weren't dealing with an ordinary human being. They were dealing with a spiritual mirror, a living reflection, a soul whose energy keeps receipts even when the mind forgives. Their karma isn't about payback, it's about awakening. It's the moment they finally see the shape of their actions, and the shape was always a blueprint of their own downfall. Number 11. The spiritual system they toyed with is now operating without mercy. What they never understood is that your kindness was never emptiness, it was coverage. Chosen ones walk with a spiritual infrastructure so vast, so ancient, and so interconnected, that anyone who interferes with them unknowingly steps into a system they cannot manipulate, negotiate with, or charm their way out of. They mistook your compassion for vulnerability. They mistook your silence for weakness. They mistook your forgiveness for an open door. But your energy was never unguarded. Chosen ones are spiritually insured. Every act of deceit, every attempt to siphon your emotional energy, every shadowy intention was recorded in a realm where nothing can be erased, not even with apologies, excuses, or selective memory. And now that system has activated, not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of balance. You didn't have to retaliate. You didn't have to speak. You didn't have to expose them. The spiritual system they tampered with does that automatically. When they tried to drain your confidence, the system reclaimed their own clarity. When they tried to manipulate your emotions, the system reclaimed their ability to remain stable. When they tried to undermine your purpose, the system reclaimed their sense of direction. This isn't punishment. This is repossession. They borrowed what wasn't theirs: your light, your intuition, your peace, your spiritual inheritance, and the universe is simply returning every stolen piece back to its rightful owner. That's why their life feels like it's collapsing in sequences. That's why their plans fall apart in patterns. That's why their blessings suddenly evaporate without warning. They didn't just cross you, they violated the spiritual architecture that protects you. And once that system decides to restore equilibrium, it becomes mercilessly efficient. No malice, no delay, no negotiation, just pure cosmic correction. Because when someone mishandles a chosen one, they are not fighting a person. They are fighting the entire spiritual technology assigned to that soul. And that system never loses. Number 12. Their regret isn't about losing you. It's about losing the person they pretended to be when you were watching. What they miss the most isn't your company, your affection, or even the access they once had to your world. What truly haunts them is the version of themselves they were forced to act like when you were around. You didn't even realize it, but your presence raised their internal standard. Your energy demanded honesty, demanded integrity, demanded effort. And because they wanted to impress you, benefit from you, or hide their true intentions, they became an upgraded version of themselves, temporarily. Now that you're gone, the mask has slipped. Not slowly, not subtly, completely. The person they pretended to be, the disciplined one, the thoughtful one, the kind one, the changed one, was never their real self. It was a costume stitched together by your influence. Your spirit forced them to behave in ways their character could never sustain alone. You were the only thing holding their darkness in place, keeping it from spilling into their decisions, relationships, and daily reality. That's why everything around them is collapsing now. Without your presence regulating their impulses, their lower self is running wild. The laziness is back. The envy is back. The manipulation is back. The lack of direction, lack of discipline, lack of emotional control. Everything they tried to hide from you is now the only version left. And the universe is reflecting that truth right back at them. Their relationships are failing because they no longer have your stabilizing energy. Their opportunities are disappearing because they no longer have your influence elevating them. Their peace is gone because they no longer have your spirit softening the consequences of their decisions. This is why the regret hits so hard. Not because they lost you, but because they lost the camouflage they used to feel like a better person. You were the mirror that made them look mature, stable, intelligent, spiritual, and capable. Now that mirror is gone, and they're face to face with the raw, unfiltered version of themselves. And it's a disaster they can't escape or blame on you. Their downfall isn't proof of your absence. It's proof of who they always were when no one was watching. Number 13. They're finally realizing the truth. Wounding a chosen one is self-sabotage disguised as power. People often confuse boldness with brilliance, aggression with strength, and manipulation with control. That's why they believed hurting you made them powerful. They thought pulling your boundaries apart, poking at your insecurities, or trying to shake your peace somehow elevated their position. In their mind, every time you didn't react, every time you stayed calm, every time you walked away instead of exploding, they assumed they had won something. They read your restraint as retreat. They read your self-control as surrender, but they never understood the spiritual physics at play. When a chosen one absorbs a blow, the energy doesn't disappear, it transforms. Your silence wasn't weakness, it was calibration. Your humility wasn't vulnerability, it was alignment. Your depth wasn't naivety, it was distance from their chaos. They thought you were folding when in reality you were letting the universe take note. Now the recoil has arrived, and it's hitting them from angles they can't explain. Every insult they delivered is echoing inside their own life. Every manipulation they attempted is circling back like a homing signal. Every wound they aimed at your spirit has reattached itself to theirs with double the weight. What they mistook for victory was actually the moment they signed their own spiritual liability. That's why they're confused now, why things are falling apart with no visible cause. They don't see the correlation between their collapsing relationships, the sudden blockages, the spiraling emotions, and the way they handled you. They think life is being unfair, not realizing life is simply mirroring them. Hurting a chosen one isn't just cruelty, it's self-sabotage in disguise. It's a spiritual boomerang, slow, silent, but always accurate. And the irony is stunning. They believed they were reducing you, but all they did was reduce themselves. They chipped away at their own luck, their own protection, their own alignment, all while bragging about how unbothered they were. Now they're learning a truth that hits deeper than regret. You were never the one who needed protection. They were the ones who needed protection from what their actions would eventually become. Number 14. Their karma isn't coming. It's already inside their decisions, corrupting their outcomes. Karma didn't arrive like a lightning strike or a dramatic consequence from the sky. It didn't need to. The universe simply stepped aside and allowed them to operate with the same mindset they used to injure you. That alone was enough to dismantle their path from the inside out. Their downfall wasn't delivered, it was self-generated. The same mentality they used to gossip about you is now sabotaging their own reputation. The same arrogance they used to dismiss your value is now clouding their judgment. The same impatience they used to provoke you is now ruining their opportunities. Their karma is embedded in their thinking, and their thinking is steering their life into walls. This is the part people rarely understand. Karma doesn't always show up as something happening to someone. More often, it shows up as who they become when no one corrects their behavior. When they mishandled you, the universe didn't send revenge. It simply stopped shielding them from themselves. Now they're experiencing the raw consequences of their inner world. Their decisions are backfiring because the mindset behind those decisions is corrupted. Their relationships are falling apart because the attitude they used toward you has become their default setting. Their goals are stalling because the spiteful energy they projected onto you has become their operating system. They think the world is turning against them, but what's actually happening is far simpler. Their karma has taken the shape of their own personality. It's not an external enemy, it's their habits, their assumptions, their bitterness, their shortcuts, their ego. And the scariest part for them is this: there is no escaping karma when it's coming from inside the house. Every plan they attempt has a crack in it. Every connection they build collapses under their emotional weight. Every opportunity slips because their character can't support it. Karma didn't chase them. Karma didn't punish them. Karma simply handed them the keys to their own mindset and walked away. Now they're living inside the consequences of who they really are, and everywhere they turn, they're faced with the same painful truth. They weren't defeated by you. They were defeated by the version of themselves they refused to outgrow. Conclusion: everything we've explored here reveals a truth many fail to grasp. When someone interferes with a chosen one, they are not simply playing with a person. They are entangling themselves with a force far greater than they can measure. Every word spoken against you, every attempt to undermine your path, every smirk or subtle manipulation has become a part of a record that the universe cannot ignore. Karma doesn't need to rush in with dramatic explosions or obvious punishment. It operates in precision, in quiet inevitability, and in the exact mirror of the energy that was sent. The people who tried to hurt you are not merely facing consequences, they are confronting the reflection of their own choices. The same energy they used to manipulate, deceive, and control is now reshaping their reality. The same lies, the same insults, the same envy, the same arrogance they projected onto you is returning to them in exact measure. They assumed your presence was a safety net they could exploit, that your silence was weakness, that your humility was naivety. But what they didn't realize is that every tear you shed, every boundary you held, every step you took forward was quietly building the evidence that would one day show them who they really were. They are now living inside the consequences of their own mindset, facing the collapse of the version of themselves they pretended to be while you were watching. Every opportunity they thought they had, every piece they assumed was theirs, every influence they misused has been reclaimed by the universe. Their regret is not for losing you. It's for losing the character they manufactured to justify their behavior. They are learning the hard way that tampering with a chosen one is never just about the present. It's a miscalculation with permanent spiritual echoes. For you, this is confirmation of your resilience, your alignment, and your destiny. You are not just surviving. You are a living archive of truth, a beacon whose light unmasks the unprepared, and a force whose presence brings balance to those who tried to disrupt it. Their downfall is not your doing. It is the natural reflection of the energy they misused. And in every situation, the universe has always been your ally, silently correcting what they attempted to distort. If this message resonates with you and you feel the weight of these truths in your life, make sure to subscribe to the channel to stay connected to insights that reveal the unseen. Like this video to support the mission, comment below and share your experiences, and share this video with anyone who needs to understand the power of energy, consequence, and the unstoppable force of a chosen one. Your presence here is part of the awakening. Don't let it stop now. God bless you.